He's America's coolest conservative and the future king of talk radio. 107.9 FM WBT presents The TJ Ritchie Show. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Look at him. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. There was supposed to be a coach's show tonight, but Coach Davis said, man, I ain't doing that. He's on vacation, I guess. That's all right. I got it under control. You know why? Because I am a professional. The most famous and legendary active radio personality in Charlotte. If you want to talk to a legendary radio personality, you can do that at 704-570-1079, or you can text. The text is driven by Liberty Buick GMC. Why don't we just say the phone is too? It says the same thing. You can call or text thanks to Liberty Buick GMC. I saw something today that I believe is just fantastic. And that's why I'm leading with it tonight. Everybody knows the movie It's a Wonderful Life. I'm not a big fan of the movie. I know. How can you be an American if you don't? I didn't say I don't like it. I just say I'm not that big of a fan of it. Well, Mary, it's me, George, Mary. But the concept of the movie for any youngsters that could be listening, this guy says he wishes he was never born because things are going badly for him. And then an angel comes down and then removes him from the life that he knows. And he gets to watch what would have happened had he not been born. A little boy would have drowned because he saved him. He wouldn't have gotten married to Mary, and had babies and whatnot. So the angel showed him how much worse people's lives would be had he not ever been born. So this was something that I found that was very interesting on the X today. Just think, if the Democrat Party and Democrats never existed on our soil, there would be no lynching of blacks. No Civil War costing 700,000 lives. No Confederacy built on our soil. No Confederate flag. No KKK. No Jim Crow laws. No segregation. No black codes. No American presidents assassinated. No Black Panthers created. No BLM. No Antifa. No 65 million babies murdered in the womb. No same-sex marriage. No transgenderism. No drag queens in kindergartens and elementary schools. No militant LGBTQ community, no open borders and flood of illegal aliens, no welfare state, no hatred and persecution of Christians, no money laundering to foreign governments, no high taxation, no attempts to suppress free speech and gun rights, no black on black genocide, and no hatred of God and prayers on our soil. Now, that sounds like a wonderful life to me. So think about it. The Democrats are responsible for all of those things. That is a post from a lady calling herself Sassafras 84. I'm guessing she's a sassy thing, and she was born in 1984. Now, I'm no detective, but that's what I'm figuring. So look at what the Democrats are doing today. And when I say Democrats, again, I get, well, you should know by now. I'm talking about the professional Democrats, the Democrats in charge of everything. Look at our airports. Look at our federal agents that are being demonized and threatened, and all of the hatred and narcissism that goes on in this country. all of the brainwashed people, they're foot soldiers that are carrying out their orders because they're too weak-minded to know that the Democrats are bad business. But I will give them credit. The professional Democrats, the leaders of the Democrat Party, in order to be able to get people to follow them and do what they say, has to be one of the greatest feats of our time, because they're so rotten, they're so obviously off kilter. To find millions and millions of people who want to be like them, it takes a talent. I mean, cult leaders are smart. And that's what the Democrat Party bosses are. They're cult leaders. So much so that they've brainwashed their cult members, their weak-minded cult members, to think that Republicans and conservatives are cult-like figures. Like that we belong to a cult. Now, does that really point to how brilliantly manipulative Democrat Party bosses are, the communists in America? Or does it point to how weak-minded their prey is? And that's what I call the run-of-the-mill lunatic leftists. They're basically the prey of the Democrat bosses. Not prey as in P-R-A-Y, because we know they're godless, but still, the word prey as in the hunted. Yes. So I want you to think about that, and then you actually mull it over and think about what a wonderful life it would be if the Democrat Party had never existed. In this country, at least, it would be a wonderful life. And every time a bell rings, a conservative angel would get its wings. Teacher says that. Hang on. More coming up next.
TJ, the realist Ritchie, on 107.9 WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk. Hear him on the radio and podcast. Watch him on YouTube. Like and subscribe to all social media platforms at tjritchie.com and WBT.com. Now, back to TJ Ritchie on 107.9 FM WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk.
The realist in the business. The green-eyed patriot is on the air everywhere. Unapologetic, in-your-face conservatism. Big stuff going on. Trump is under their skin. That would be El Presidente Trump. El Jefe of USA. I love it. I love it. The president said, hey, if you don't fund the TSA, I'm putting ICE in the airports, and that's exactly what he's done. So here is the way it breaks down. The Democrats, we've talked about this, but the Democrats in D.C. are demanding that ICE be completely torn apart, revamped, and built the way Democrats want them to be built, which means no deporting illegal aliens, no getting in the way of illegal aliens voting for Democrats, no illegal alien rapists and murderers and child molesters going to jail, just turning the country over to illegal aliens from the worst situations possible. It came from the worst situations in their third world blank hole countries. As far away from American values as possible. That's what the Democrats demand. And because President Trump and the Republicans, the smart people in Congress say, no, I don't think so. Then they just fund all of it. They want to inflict as much harm on the American people as possible. Why? Because they're Democrats, and Democrats are narcissists. They're psychopaths, and they only care about themselves and their power. They don't care about this country. The way they care about this country is ripping it apart. That's how they care about the United States. So they woke up and dusted off Hakeem Big Sleepy Indica Jeffries long enough to go on a Sunday show and talk about ICE being at the airports. And you're never going to guess where this goes. A shocker. He says ICE is going to kill people at the airport. Not joking, listen.
Hakeem Jeffries claims ICE will kill people at airports.
What's your response to what Tom Homan revealed here?
Well, good morning. Great to be with you. There are three things that have been true since Donald Trump and Republicans came back into power last January. Life is more expensive, life is more chaotic, and life is more extreme. The last thing that the American people need are for untrained ICE agents to be deployed at airports all across the country, potentially to brutalize or in some instances kill them. We've already seen how ICE conducts itself. These are untrained individuals when it comes to doing the current job that they have for the most part, let alone deploying them in close exposure in highly sensitive situations at airports across the country.
God, I mean, now you're going to listen to that and really try to argue with me that the Democrats are not psychopath narcissists, psychotic narcissists. Are you seriously? Now, what does he think he's doing there? He thinks he's scaring as many innocent Americans as possible. That Donald Trump is trying to kill them through ICE. Freeze them to death, I guess. But, you know, Hakeem Big Sleepy Indica Jeffries knows that he can go out and say the dumbest thing. Like, that's not just Democrat rhetoric. That's just dumb. This man is an idiot. He's a young dumb man. You're gonna kill people. Drooling all over himself. Just a you're gonna tell me that he's not out there saying all that stuff, and they're pushing him out there to say it because they know that even if he were going to get criticism from, you know, maybe the Marxist media was going to do some accidental journalism and call him out on something, they won't, because they don't want to seem racist, because he is a person of color, and that accent he has, well, they will kill people. They're already untrained for the job they're doing. They're not going to call him on it because he's a person of color. And as a person of no color, I can recognize this. So he doesn't even realize that the white Democrat party bosses are making a fool out of him because he's a person of color. He thinks that they've given him power. They haven't. No more than they were ready to give Jazzy Crotchich power. Look what they did to her. They pushed her out there and let her make a fool of herself. And then when it came time to really support her for something important, like being a Senate nominee for Texas, they pulled the gay, trans-loving Tarico in there, the little white howdy doody. So all the racism, as it always has, still is on the Democrat side. And they treat their own members like this. they know good and well that Hakeem Big Sleepy Indica Jeffries is out there making a fool of himself. He sounds like a complete idiot. He sounds like a third grader. Well, and Trump will put on his cape as the nemesis to the superhero, and he will blast people with his laser guns. Yeah. That's what he's going to do. And he comes off camera. They're like, yeah, good job, Big Sleepy. Good job. You don't see any of the other ones out there, the so-called sophisticated Democrats, out saying stupid stuff like that. I mean, I don't put it past. I mean, like Jamie Raskin is just he's a terrible, terrible, slimy cockroach of a person. But they send Hakeem out there and say, go do it. You're tough, man. Go give him hell. Tell him, hey, try this. Tell him that ICE is going to kill people trying to get on their planes. Say they're going to go down to the gate and just start gunning people down. Go say that. So, again, the Democrats play this game with people's lives, and they say either Trump signs a bill into law that says illegal aliens can vote anytime they want and at any age, and they never have to worry about being stopped or taken to jail for anything, as long as they're continuing to vote Democrat and help Democrats, and then we can use them for the census to give us more power, then we're not funding any of the other stuff with the Department of Homeland Security. That's it. And then they'll go around telling everybody, we've tried. We've made the common sense proposals, and Trump and the Republicans, MAGA, will not do it. But you see, one of the reasons they hate Trump so much is because he calls them out and he doesn't play that game. Now, I heard today that Thune, the Senate Majority Leader for the Republicans, is trying to make a deal with the Democrats to fund the other aspects of DHS and not ICE. Well, ICE is already funded for several years. But making changes to, like you can't give these Democrats 1 inch. That's what I've been saying. And people hear this from Thune, who's he's a moderate at best and has been a moderate his whole career. He's just not quite on the level of turning against the country for his own selfish pride like Tom Tillis has done. But he will, the slightest little move that he doesn't get his way or he doesn't think is right, he'll turn. I guarantee you he will. He'll start trying to bring down Trump, bring down the Republicans in charge and all this, which in turn brings down America. And you know it. TT knows it. Doesn't care. So Thune trying to make a deal with these communists in the Democrat Party. How? How you going to make a deal with them? They're asking for such outlandish stuff. And you know what a bipartisan deal means? Republicans caved. That's what that means. Republicans caved because Democrats are such brats, they just wore them down. But Trump said, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in making any kind of deal, giving the Democrats their way. Not when he's got the support that he's got with his base. Like, why in the world would we give them anything except a foot in their, that's what they need. Speaking of celebrities, or, quasi-celebrities, seem to have a theme going, trying to be so provocative, so shocking. Two separate so-called celebrities have come out today saying the same thing. And I know they think they're really cool and provocative saying it. So I'll break that down for you in a way that nobody else is going to, because nobody else who does this type of show is going to stoop to the levels that I will stoop. Okay? Okay. That's next.
The TJ Ritchie Show is on. More next on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 WPT. He is Charlotte's most charmed and dangerous, always speaking the truth, whether you like it or not. It's TJ Ritchie on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 FM WPT.
You know, I was just sitting here thinking, I wonder what Hakeem Big Sleepy Indica Jeffries would do if a bunch of illegal alien MS-13 gang members showed up in his yard. You think he would call some kind of authorities to take them away? Or would he invite them in and go, "You're just so misunderstood. You had no criminal record. Try to get you a voting registration card." Yeah, I wonder how fast he would call the authorities to come sweep up those MS-13 members out of his yard. Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. Food for thought. All right, so I've seen this today where two so-called celebrities have said the same thing, so I'm guessing that some talking points went around. And there's a guy named Leonard McKelvey, and you probably don't know who Leonard McKelvey is. You probably don't even know the character that he plays on the radio. He plays a character, and the character's name is Charlemagne the God on radio. So Leonard McKelvey is one of those people in the media that has made a career off of pretending to hate white people. And he may actually hate white people. He may be one of those that hates white people. I don't know. But he's always on the lookout for racism here and racism there, and he's made a career out of calling everything racism. But still votes for the racist party. He's the one, this character that Leonard McKelvey plays, Charlemagne the God, he's the one that Biden said, if you don't know whether you're voting for me or Trump by now, then you ain't black. So yeah, he sat there and took that from Biden. And he's also one of those that he's so left-wing and so such a race hustler that if he says anything that is, like if he criticizes the Democrats at all, stupid Republicans will run around and hoist him on their shoulders and go, look, even Charlemagne the God says da-da-da-da-da. He's on our side with this. And I'm like, don't do that. Who cares? Who cares what this guy thinks? He hates you. What do you think? He's all of a sudden going to vote Republican now that he found a problem with the Democrats? Get out of here. Same with Stephen A. Smith. But Leonard McKelvey, who plays the character Charlemagne the God on the radio, said people are going to celebrate when Trump dies. What? Oh, my God. Boy, that takes a lot of guts, doesn't it? A left-wing, Republican, white people hating commentator says people will celebrate when Trump dies. Whoa, wow, that's courageous and provocative. Yes. Shocking. Then I saw another headline. Ana Navarro She said people will celebrate when Trump dies. No, you didn't. You did not go there, girl. You did not go there. How could you? So profound. And you know, when they said it, they probably, I mean, you know, Ana Navarro, if you've ever seen her with that smug look on her face, like she's so much smarter than everybody else on whatever panel she's on, when she's really as dumb as a box of hammers. You could take her brain and shove it up an ant's butt and it would look like a BB in a boxcar. Not a smart woman. But just like so many other leftists, she thinks she is. And I don't know if she still considers herself a Republican or not. I don't know how she could. But she says the same thing. People will celebrate when Trump dies. Yeah. Duh. Now here's a news flash for Leonard McKelvey, a.k.a. Charlemagne the God, and Ana Navarro. People are going to celebrate when you die. Somebody will. Ta-da! People will celebrate when I die. People are going to celebrate when any public figure dies. No matter how minor of a celebrity the person is. Because you done made enough people mad in doing what you do, if you've done a good job of it, that they're going to be people celebrate your death whenever it happens, however it happens. So saying that about Trump is not any type of on the edge, pushing the envelope kind of analysis of anything. Stupid ass. Both of you. Oh, so cool. And people who act shocked about that are also like, what do you, so? Who cares what these idiots think? Of course, Trump has done his job. He's a great president, and he's straightening out a mess that these communists, these anti-Americans have created. So who's he going to make mad? He's going to make all of the people who are communists mad. And they're going to celebrate when he dies. Everybody loved Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris was a across the board loved public figure. And I guarantee you somebody said, I'm glad he died. Give me a drink. Let me celebrate the fact that Chuck Norris died. Every public figure has somebody that will celebrate when they die. That's for real. So it's funny to think about these two idiots thinking they I just hit them right between the eyes. Go to commercial, everybody high-fiving you. Ooh, you're going to get in trouble for that one, dog. Ooh, you told it like it is. Ooh, please. Anything else you want to make an observation about that's totally obvious, clowns? Leonard? Anna? As the kids say, miss me with that. It's so stupid. Oh, you got us. How dare you say that? Nobody will celebrate. You know who would be the first person to tell you that people are going to celebrate when he dies? Trump, that's who. And you know what else? The people who will celebrate, he would laugh in their faces. Because they're obviously idiots and brainwashed and weak-minded. And like I said, I mean, even I, as beloved as I am, I mean, I know it's hard for you to imagine that somebody may celebrate when I die because I am so fantastic and I'm so sweet and I'm so humble and I'm so fun. that somebody would, it'd have to be a crazy person. I know, but they're out there. They are out there. And I ain't mad at them. Hey. But Leonard McKelvey, who plays the part of Charlemagne the God on the radio, he's from South Carolina. So if anybody knows him, tell him I said it. I don't care. All right, hang on. We got more coming up next.
The realest your radio has ever been. TJ Ritchie is on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 WPT. Welcome back to the TJ Ritchie Show on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 FM WPT.
Welcome back to Unapologetic In-Your-Face Conservatism. I am the green-eyed patriot on the air, everywhere. Introducing... Now, if you want to call, 704-570-1079 is the number, 704-570-1079. You can also text. I use, for the content of this show, I use the most well-respected news outlets in the world, spanning the globe. And I was just checking one of these news outlets on Instagram. It's called Charlitt. Charlitt.nc. And it is a video of some fine young people in a big brawl. And it says 86 degrees outside and they already fighting at Camp North End. So we'll have to send our team out. Team of what? I have no idea. Oh, we got a team. I got a team. See what's going on with that. I thought this was pretty interesting that I found today. It says 42 states have laws that can hold bartenders responsible for over-serving someone who goes on to kill another person. 0 states have laws that can hold judges responsible for releasing criminals who go on to kill another person. You know, I was calling for the other night, and when I call for something, I expect it to happen because I'm important. I called for it. For judges to start being demoted whenever they do a bad job of judging someone, where they judge that the person is okay to get it back out on the streets and it's not going to hurt anybody. They make a judgment. I judge that you're going to be okay to be out on $2 bail. Or I judge that even though you are accused of, and there's a lot of evidence to the fact that you are guilty of murdering someone brutally for no reason, just a surprise sneak attack on an innocent citizen, I judge that you are okay to wait for your trial out in public, not in jail. So I will judge that you do not need to be remanded, that you need to be free while we wait on the process. So if that's what you're judging and you judge incorrectly, then you are not a good judge. So you should be demoted or canned from being a judge. Because what are judges supposed to do? They're supposed to judge. And they're supposed to make good decisions. And what? Class? Judgments. So when they make a bad judgment and the person that they let out, because they judge that the person is going to be okay, and their judgment of that person is wrong, and they kill somebody, then the judge should be held accountable for judging the wrong way and using bad judgment. It only makes sense. Everybody else has to be accountable for what they do at their job. You know? Why not judges? Why can't a terrible judge be judged and evaluated? They say, well, the bar evaluates the judge and some panel in this state and that state. Well, no, not really. It's pretty easy. It's easy to judge the judge. Because if you judge the judge made a wrong judgment and somebody they judged to be safe killed a person, then you know right away that judge made the wrong judgment. Now, the job should be finding out, did the judge make the bad judgment because they're just simply inept? Or did they make the bad judgment because they wanted the criminal to be out on the streets to commit more crimes like this? Because a lot of judges are on the bench who want that. Yes, they do. There are some rotten to the core judges swinging that gavel down to release people they know are dangerous to the innocents just because it's part of their social manipulation, their social experiments. And you can't really pave the way for communism to take over in U.S. America if you don't let the system be turned upside down and turned into chaos. I judge that to be the case. Being a judge should be the easiest job in the government because the rules are written for you. The rules are written in the Constitution. If you're a federal judge or if you're a state judge, district court, whatever, your state constitution is written and you have the U.S. Constitution. Look it up. What does it say in the rule book? You don't even have to be a judge. You don't have to judge anything or use judgment. Just use the rule book. Everybody's freaking out about that lady judge from last week who had the 18-year-old in her court, and he had been arrested and charged with armed robbery and pled guilty and was trying to get a plea deal. She sentenced him to 25 years in the penitentiary. Why? Because the rule book said she could. Now, she made a judgment as to whether or not she thought that he needed that and looked back at his criminal record and how he had behaved while he was in jail, which a lot of times you wouldn't have had that information about how he behaved when he was in jail waiting on his trial because he wouldn't have been there because some other judge would have let him out. He attacked people in jail. Nothing but violent. She said, you're going to get 25 years in the penitentiary. You got to go to penitentiary. Oh, and everybody started freaking out. He's just a teenager. He's 18. And who cares? Listen, you start yelling about that. He was raised in a dysfunctional situation, and he was raised and didn't, have a good home life, and da 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 da. Okay, well, be that as it may, that's not my fault. That's not poor innocent people who have to deal with him, who haven't done anything wrong at all, have nothing to do with him, just because he was not raised right, and he came from an quote unquote at risk upbringing. Why do innocent people have to pay for that? They shouldn't. He needs to be taken out of society. It sucks, yeah. His parents didn't do him right. All right. How's that my fault? How is that anybody's fault who's just trying to live their lives and obey the law and do what they got to do? And that's why they start getting all these people they let out because of, their mental capacity and all of that. Okay. I don't care if you're crazy as a loon. why do we still have to deal with you putting our lives in danger by being in the middle of the public all the time? Something's got to be done. I say build more penitentiaries, build more asylums, put people to work in them. As President Trump would say, be a new industry. Prison construction. Some for just regular old criminals and some for crazy people. But either way, they all need to be taken away from innocent citizens. But these judges, both the stupid and the purposeful, are letting them loose in society, unleashing them on innocent American citizens. And it's simple. Just put them away. Put them away somewhere. Just put them away. I have spoken. Hour 2 next. Hang on.
He's America's coolest conservative and the future king of talk radio. 107.9 FM WBT presents The TJ Ritchie Show.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, yes. Blasting through your radio like a laser. It's my laser sound effect. Like that. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. I know there aren't many of you out there, but I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I don't even think I got a full 11 tonight. They got mad because Coach Davis wasn't on in the first hour. That's all right. I get it. Hey, I didn't tell him not to come on. Guess he just didn't want to deal with y'all. That's all I got to say. 704-570-1079 is the phone number. You can call it or text it. It's driven by Liberty Buick GMC. All right, so we're still dealing with the Save America Act, and Democrats bound and determined that illegal aliens are going to vote because Democrats cheat. It's the only way they can win is by cheating, and that's just one of the ways that they cheat in elections, is by having illegal aliens show up and vote, along with people who have been passed for a long time. They vote for Democrats. It's just the way they are. It's shady. But here is the man, Stephen Miller, talking about the voter rolls and what the Democrats in the blue states, which, by the way, the Democrat states should be called the red states, red for communism. But be that as it may, this is Stephen Miller, what he had to say.
At the beginning of this administration, we asked every state, red and blue, to share with us their voter rolls so that we could scrub it against the DHS file of illegal aliens to remove illegal aliens from their voter rolls. Every blue state refused. California refused. Minnesota refused. New York refused. In fact, they sued us to stop us from removing illegal aliens from the voter rolls, removing non-citizens from the voter rolls. But that's not just the only thing. They don't want to get dead people off the rolls. They don't want to get felons off the rolls. They don't want to get out-of-state voters off the rolls. They don't want to get double and triple voters out of the count because they want the fraud. This is the most important issue, Sean, because the Biden administration brought 20 million illegal aliens into this country, and this is the way, the only way, to keep them from participating in our sacred democratic process.
Okay, Stephen Miller sometimes forgets, and he thinks that my name is Sean, and that's why he said that. No, I'm kidding. He was talking to Sean Hannity. But you hear that, and you can really now understand why our esteemed senator from the great state of North Carolina, Tom Tillis, a.k.a. TT, a.k.a. the Southern Bernie Sanders. Can't you just determine right away why he hates Stephen Miller so much. Oh, God. Stephen Miller with all of that nonsense. Oh, so glad Senator Southern Bernie Sanders, Tom Tillis, a.k.a. TT, went after him publicly and thinks that he's terrible. Lets it be known. So great. Now, the dumbest and drunkest, in my humble opinion, senator in America, Mazie Hirono from Hawaii. Now, look, y'all know I don't like Democrats, but I got to give credit where credit is due. When somebody comes out with something brilliantly dazzling like this, I gotta give them credit. Or as the kids say, I got to give them their flowers. And that is one Mazie Hirono. Prepare to be dazzled by this.
Non-citizen voting in federal elections is already illegal. It is a federal crime. If a non-citizen illegally votes in a federal election, they could be prosecuted and even sentenced up to 5 years in prison. Mm-hmm. Who is going to commit this kind of fraud knowing that they could be in prison for 5 years?
Wow. I told you. Have you ever heard anything so brilliant in your life? I haven't. Now, we'll say this. Obviously, I'm being facetious. Mazie Hirono is, like I said, the dumbest, drunkest person in all of D.C., I think. In my opinion. I will give her this credit. That's the first time I've heard her go 28 seconds in a row speaking without cussing. You know, like a drunken sailor. So, in case you didn't get that, she said, is already illegal, a federal crime to vote in an election illegally, punishable by up to 5 years in prison. So nobody is going to risk going to prison. Nobody is going to commit that fraud and take a chance on going to prison. Oh, really? So true. So true, Mazie. May I call you Mazie? Just like, I don't know, bank robbery. Bank robbery is punishable without an assault charge on it, is punishable by 20 to 25 years in prison. Nobody ever takes that chance. No way. They don't want to risk that. Wow. Shoplifting. That's a crime that could send you to jail. Nobody ever chances that, do they? Drunk driving. Oh, the punishment you could receive from that, especially if it's your third or fourth offense. Well, that's if you're an American citizen. Then you would probably go to jail. And that's why nobody tests it. Nobody takes a chance on committing that crime because they know it's illegal. Now, here's what I want to know. Who let this moron, I'm glad she did, but who let her get up and say that in front of everybody? I mean, she said it in front of everybody. Who let her do that? She doesn't have a staff of people to stop her and say, hey, Mazie, come here, let me holler at you. You can't go up there in front of those cameras and behind that microphone and say this. I read what you want to say. You can't do that. Well, why can I not do that? Because everybody who commits a crime knows that they're committing a crime and they could go to jail, but they still do it. They take a chance on it. So just because something's illegal doesn't mean that a person won't take a chance on going to jail in order to do it. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna say it. Because I'm Maisie damn Hirono. And I know what I'm talking about. You're fired. And I'll kick your ass if you don't get out of here. God. They talk about Trump needing somebody to hold him back from, when he, in his first administration, was like, just keep him from tweeting everything that hits his mind. Just keep him from tweeting. But that had to be somebody trying to sabotage her. Somebody in her office is trying to hurt her, or they would have tackled her on her way to that podium to say these words. Or either she just made them mad, the whole staff mad that morning, came in a drunken rage, made them mad, and they're like, all right, you know everything, go ahead on. Go ahead on, Maisie. Yeah, we're right here. Good. Let them have it, girl. And then they stand off to the side going, she about to make a fool of herself, but I'm going to let her. Oh, really? What's she going to say? Just listen to this. I'm telling you, evil and intelligent don't go hand in hand all the time. Sometimes it does. Sometimes, there is the term evil genius. There are those people, but it's not always the case with these Democrats. They can be evil and stupid all at the same time, and drunk. So when you combine stupid and drunk, then you end up with a whole, again, my opinion that Maisie Hirono is always drunk. Never met her, don't know anything about her medical records, or never been to the bar with her. Just my observation. Okay, hang on. Got more coming up.
It's the TJ Ritchie Show on 107.9 WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk. Night has fallen, and the Green-Eyed Patriot is on the air. It's the TJ Ritchie Show on Charlotte's FM News Talk, 107.9 FM, WBT.
I am America's coolest conservative, and you know how I know that? Because I got T-shirts that say it. You can't have a T-shirt that says something about you that's not true. That's illegal. You can have one of those T-shirts for your very own. Purchase it at tjritchie.com/deals. tjritchie.com/deals. They're really cool. Really, really cool. Oh, the libs love that. You know who else has a problem with my saying I'm America's coolest conservatives? Other conservatives that like to think that they're cooler than I am, or they take it as an insult that I say I'm cooler than they are. Listen, I wouldn't say it if it weren't true. And they go, well, where do you get that? What makes you? Well, first of all, I'm never, ever going to say anything positive about a science fiction movie or Lord of the Rings or any of that, fantasy type stuff, those nerd movies. Not going to say anything like that I like those. I am completely capable of translating the young urban troubadours of the day and their lexicon for the people. I have sweet dance moves like nobody's business. It's just, you can't really just define cool. It's just an aura a lot of times. And that's what I have. If you put me and other conservative commentators in a room together, and you put another person and say, just walk into this room and mingle about and tell me which one of these people is the coolest. they would walk back out and they would say, the guy with the salt and pepper scruff and the cool hat that was giving us the sweet hip hop dance moves. That's what they would say. No cap. See, there's another example. I say no cap instead of no lie right there. You know why? Because I got Riz. You know who you won't catch saying no cap? Brett Winterble. That's who. And I guarantee you he doesn't have sweet dance moves. Prince of a man, though, and very intelligent, obviously. Way more successful than I'll ever be at this particular type of show. I say that, false humility. I don't mean that. I don't know why I said it. I don't mean that. I'm going to be the king of talk radio. But I better get going on it because, you know, I'm no spring chicken. All right, enough playing around. I got serious business to talk about. There's a guy named Robert Burns that I follow on the X, a.k.a. the tweeters. And I enjoy this post he has. It says, Roy Cooper is a fraud. He's traveling around North Carolina telling people that he was tough on crime as Attorney General. However, on his way out the door as North Carolina governor, Roy Cooper pulled a classic last-minute move, commuting the death sentences of 15 convicted murderers to life without parole on December 31st, 2024. These weren't petty criminals. They were all on death row for first-degree murder. Some of the most brutal killings in the state's history. This was the largest single batch of capital clemency in North Carolina's history. One stark example from the 15 commuted cases is Christopher Roseborough, convicted in Gaston County for the brutal 1992 murder and rape of 72-year-old Martha Gertie Edwards in her Gastonia home. Don't let Roy Cooper change the narrative. I mean, this guy really is creepy. Roy Cooper, not Robert Burns. Roy Cooper is a creep show. I mean, an absolute vile person. Terrible. Shuttering people's businesses, ruining their lives, everything they had worked for during that COVID fiasco, ruling the state with an iron fist. You get to stay open. You don't. I'm not going to allow it. Breweries can stay open, but bars can't. Gyms have to close. He should never, ever be forgiven for all of that mess. None of those COVID dictators should be. They should never be let up from the mat with people pinning them day after day after day. Roy Cooper ruined people's lives on just that one issue. Forget about all of the, letting people out of jail or changing their sentence from death penalty to life in prison, giving them a break, all that stuff. Soft on crime. Forget everything, all of that. And if you just focus on what he did during COVID-19, we were all confused. Nobody really knew. Everybody was scared. No, he knew what he was doing. How many times, you think about it, remember, back during the Roy Cooper reign of terror during COVID-19 as governor, think about how many times you as a smart American, a smart North Carolinian, sat and wished for a governor like Ron DeSantis. You remember. Don't ever forget that. especially when you go to vote for senator this time. Think about how many people you heard and talked to that you said, I wish we had a Ron DeSantis. And look what Florida did during COVID-19. They thrived. So much so, they ended up messing up my vacations. I used to go to a place in Florida every year on vacation. I loved it. COVID-19 hit. They shut the cruise lines down, and all these people had to figure out somewhere to go because their vacations got canceled. And they said, hey, well, we can take all 20 of us in the family and pitch in on renting a big house in Destin, Florida. Next thing you know, Destin, Florida is just overrun with quote unquote cruise people. So that was a drawback to it. Because once they saw Destin, Florida and how they could afford to go every year and have that beautiful beach and all that stuff, then they just said, all right, no more cruises. This is our vacation spot. Now it's overrun with people and I can't go because I'm too damn famous. I can't just walk up into big crowds on the beach. But that's a sacrifice that I had to make. And I still say, thank God for Ron DeSantis. And Roy Cooper doesn't even deserve to be in a room with him because of what he did to these innocent North Carolinians and their businesses and their lives, ruling with an iron fist. And I still say he was getting his marching orders from the Democrat Party in Washington. Again, that's just me saying, I don't know. That could be true. I could have already been proven. I don't know. I haven't seen it because I don't like to read. But that's just my opinion. Why don't he just go away? You got enough money. Why are you still trying to because he's a narcissist, just like all the rest of them? Again, in my humble opinion. But other than that, I'm a big fan of Roy Cooper. Hang on, more coming up.
TJ Ritchie on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 FM WBT. Text everybody in your contacts list and tell them that Ritchie's on. Welcome back to the TJ Ritchie Show on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 FM WBT.
The most famous and legendary active radio personality in Charlotte. And that's the truth. But it's all thanks to me, of course, and my immeasurable talent, being El Jefe de la Radio. The realest in the business, ladies and gentlemen, the realest in the business. 704-570-1079. Call or text. Look, be serious for a second. I know I be clowning, but this is serious. I get asked all the time by people who are not really what you would call fans of mine, why I refer to the Democrats as evil. And I always have to say, I don't call all of them evil. There are some who are just plain evil, but there are others who are just, what you would call narcissists, Marxist, communists. But there are definitely some of them that are demons on earth, in my opinion. And people get all up in arms about that. That's dangerous rhetoric and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's been happening whenever I criticize and talk about this James Tallarico. James Tallarico, the little wormy, wimpy, the guy from Texas that the white Democrat party bosses pushed in front of Jasmine Crockett. The reason that I say that he's evil is because he is one of those that takes his political message into the pulpit, claiming to be some sort of a minister, pastor, spiritual leader. And I played the clips of him saying that Jesus was non-binary and Jesus wants trans children and Jesus is pro-abortion. And God went and asked Mary if she would carry his child, got her permission. And then he says that means that God is pro-abortion. I mean, just craziness. So there's a clip of him going around on some sort of a live stage podcast or interview of some sort. And obviously the guy that's running the interview is one of Satan's foot soldiers as well. And you listen to this, especially if you're a religious person at all, Christian, even if you're not what they call a teetotaler, or you don't even have to be that. If you're a person of faith, and tell me how else you would describe this, if not demonic.
How big is God's sausage, would you say? We know God is a man, and so I'm just wondering, how healthy his hog is.
So I know this is rapid fire, but let me just, because...
Two-word answer, please.
Yes or no? Listen, I know that I was being provocative with that comment. I made it on the floor of the House when the extremists in the Texas legislature were trying to pick on kids who were different. And while it's maybe provocative politically, I don't think it's controversial theologically. Most Christians believe that God is beyond gender.
I've known a lot of Christians in my life. I've never heard a Christian say God is beyond gender. I've never heard a Christian say God is non-binary. You know why? Because non-binary didn't exist 15 minutes ago. That's a bunch of crap that's been made up by the Marxist left in the past 20 years. So let's say your preacher gets invited to be interviewed by a person on a stage in front of an audience. And that guy asks him that question about, the crude God's genitalia question. You tell me, is your preacher going to laugh at that and then expand upon it? Is your preacher going to yuck it up if his God has just been talked about in that manner? I hope not. Now listen, I'm by no means putting myself up as a preacher of any kind, but he does. He puts himself out there as a Bible scholar, teaching the Word of God to people, and that's what he does. So, yeah, this guy, compared to just a dumb Democrat politician who's in it, to manipulate people and get power, those are two different situations. I don't think Jasmine Crockett is a demon on earth. I just think she's an idiot and she's mean and she's got an agenda to do the country no good. But this guy, this little unassuming, innocent seeming, little waif-like, feminine man is the devil. That's who he represents. The devil. So, criticize me all you want for throwing around those terms, but I have no idea how else you would describe the person engaged in that conversation. So, think about it. Last segment coming up. Hang on.
It's TJ, the Green-Eyed Patriot, on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 WBT. 11 listeners strong and holding. It's the TJ Ritchie Show on 107.9 FM, Charlotte's FM News Talk WBT.
Unapologetic, in your face conservatism with the Green-Eyed Patriot. I love this. Just got a text from Robin. It says, "That's right, TJ. You tell them to keep their gender fluids to themselves." Love it, love it. Now, I'm not a sports talking person. That's not my thing. I know a lot about two sports, baseball and football. I'm an expert on those two sports. Now, expert as in the X's and O's of football, and then the ins and outs of baseball. Not necessarily the stats and I'm not a fantasy football player by any means. That's for nerds. Again, I'm America's coolest conservative. You'll never catch me playing fantasy sports because it's, a bunch of nerd stuff. But I don't know much about basketball, so I'm not trying to get into the sports talk business here or anything, but I need to talk about this tournament. First of all, I wish they would change the name of the group that makes it into the final 16 because it sounds way too feminine to say the Sweet 16. Oh, they made it to the Sweet 16, y'all. Elite 8 sounds cool. Final 4 obviously sounds really cool. The alliteration of Final 4. That's cool. But Sweet 16, we got to do something about that. Let's go from the Sweet 16 to the Elite 8, the Final 4. Sweet 16. All right, so that's one thing. Second thing, I hope Nebraska wins the whole thing. I know the cards are stacked against them to win it, but I like Nebraska. My best friend is from Lincoln, Nebraska, and went to the University of Nebraska, so I support her team since I don't have a basketball team, really. LSU is my team, but they don't show up in basketball very often. And Lonnie Ray, I know you're not going to like this because I have some criticism for Duke. You ready?
I'm ready as I'm going to be.
I may have told you this before. Well, what's the coach's name?
John Shire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that he wears a tracksuit. It's tacky.
What?
That's tacky. When these coaches start dressing like the players, at least, what's the name? Hubert Davis.
Yeah.
At least he still wears a suit like a basketball coach is supposed to wear.
Well, it's the new age of coaching now.
But I don't like it.
Yeah.
They've devolved. They've devolved. They don't look like they're any more special than anybody else that show. If a spectator wouldn't show up to the game dress the way the head coaches do. They'd be dressed a little better than wearing, what do you call them, joggers and a quarter zip logoed shirt.
See, you got a problem with them quarter zips, man.
I wear quarter zips like crazy, but I don't wear a quarter zip athleisure. I wear quarter zips that are more dressy. But you would not catch me going to a game in an arena wearing joggers. I'd be like, that is for lounging around the house or just hanging out and running to the store.
True. Yeah.
If I'm the head coach of the #1 basketball team in America, the legendary Duke Blue Devils, there is no way you would catch me representing my team in a tracksuit, basically, for all intents and purposes. I mean, you're supposed to be a cut above. You are the head coach of the greatest college basketball team in the history of the game. Put on some grown-up clothes, dude. At least dress like you might be going to a casual church service.
Hey, man, Pat Riley set the bar, man.
Well, no, he didn't. He lowered the bar.
Really?
He didn't set it. He lowered it. Anybody, and I say the same thing, about NBA coaches. Do they still wear suits?
No, not really. That's why I said I feel like Pat Riley set the bar when it came to, how you dressed on the sideline.
Okay, well, all of these coaches, first of all, they look like they're just trying to dress too young. The coaches that are older, still looking like they're wearing tracksuits or something, like they're trying to dress young. And they're wearing tennis shoes, aren't they? Basketball shoes instead of nice shoes. Aren't they wearing Nikes and so forth?
Yeah.
All right. That's another, lowered the bar, devolved, trying to be cool. No. And that's just not right. That's not the way the Lord wants it. The Jesus wants college basketball coaches and NBA coaches to dress up. That's what that's the way the game was supposed to be. If you look over at the bench and you can't tell the difference between the head coach and the kid that mops up the sweat, they're dressed alike, there's a problem. And I just thought of that on the fly. And I think that's very profound. So because of that, I'm going to have to root against your Duke Blue Devils.
Oh, man. That's okay.
You know how I pick a team usually? If I don't have a dog in the hunt, you know how I pick a team to root for? I've told you this, Lonnie. You remember?
No, tell me again, please.
If it's college, I pick whichever school is the least liberal or Marxist.
But you got a dog in the hunt right now.
Yeah, with Nebraska.
No, LSU.
Are they in the Sweet 16? I'm not talking about women's.
Why? That's the best LSU.
I know, but I'm just talking about the men's tournament now. I'm not talking about the I'm not talking about the women's. But the men's tournament. Yeah, I don't have Nebraska is the team that I'm rooting for because of my friend. And so Nebraska's pretty conservative compared to a lot of these Marxist schools. So that's who I always pick. If it's a professional game, I pick whichever city is less liberal than the other team. For example, if Seattle is playing, say, I don't know, it's hard because all big cities are liberal now. But if Seattle and San Francisco are playing, then I just, I toss up because they're both the same amount of liberal.
Makes sense.
They're both Marxist cities. I'm trying to think of one that's not quite as liberal as the rest, but all big cities are overrun with liberals. So then I have to go down to whether the coach is the coach more liberal than the other coach? Like on that scale, if I'm looking at the NBA, then Steve Kerr and Doc Rivers are always going to be the very bottom that I would ever root for. I'm rooting for everybody over them because they're the most liberal and stupid coaches. And that would be a toss-up between Steve Kerr and Doc Rivers. They're both idiots. But yeah, back to the original point. College basketball coaches need to get back to wearing the uniforms. And I'm friends with Coach Matt Doherty, and he disagrees with me. You know why? Because he's a slob. That's why. He wants to dress like a slob, and he wants his buddies to be able to dress like a slob. Hey, you're not going for a pickup game at the Y. You're coaching the greatest basketball team in history in college basketball. I'm talking about the Duke coach. Dress it up a little bit. Show some respect. Put some respect on it. That's what you need to do. Put some respect on it. All of them. Tell them I said it. I'll get them back in shape. But I'm all fired up about the Sweet 16, y'all. Me and Mama's going to watch while I fix her hair. Mama needs a shampoo set, so I said, we going to do that shampoo set, Mama, while I'm watching the Sweet 16. I can tell you that. I ain't missing it. Just to put rollers in your hair. All right. Nick Craig is coming up next with the Nick Craig Show. God loves you and ain't nothing you can do about it. See you tomorrow.